Here's some good news. President Biden has made a big announcement to regards financial relief for many of you guys on Social Security, and stimulus checks are needed for many people. President Biden has realized this, and now we can expect to receive thousands of dollars, in fact, in additional crisis relief assistance starting this week. Now, eligible people have until the end of the month to claim up to $850 in stimulus relief. It's thanks to a surplus in the state of Maine's budget. The stimulus payments will actually offer financial assistance related to crisis and inflation-reduced economic strains. About 858,000 residents will be eligible if they file by the end of October to claim their relief check. To qualify, applicants must have been Maine residents for a full year and need to file their 2021 state tax return by October 31st. The Maine governor has also said in a statement, what this budget shows once again through hard work and good faith is that Democrats, Republicans, and independents can come together to do what is right for the Maine people. Governor Mills approved the distribution of the checks in April. The total cost of the stimulus payments is estimated to be around $730 million. Applicants have to make less than $100,000 annually if they're filing individually, or $200,000 if they're filing jointly. And according to the governor's office, dependents are not eligible for the payments. Mainers are seeing a rise in gas prices again this fall. The rise in gas prices come after residents finally felt relief from gas prices decreasing over the summer after an expensive spring season. In Maine, everybody, Mainers experienced an average gas price that soared $5 a gallon. Now, but here's what President Biden is saying about this. He announced the formal launch of the federal application for Americans seeking student loan forgiveness, the latest phase of his plan that is expected to provide debt relief to as many as 43 million borrowers. Today from the White House, President Biden stated, "I'm announcing millions of people, working and middle-class folks, they can apply and get this relief, and it's simple and it's easy. It's an easy game changer for millions of Americans, and it took an incredible amount of effort to get this website done in such a short time." So everybody, according to CBS News, individuals seeking to apply for student debt relief can now fill out the form online. The form includes information on the debt relief, who qualifies for it, and how it works. Earlier this year, Joe Biden announced his decision to cancel up to $10,000 in student loan debt for individuals making less than $125,000 a year. The Biden administration has said that applicants who are more likely to exceed the income cutoff will be required to submit additional information. And while borrowers will have to pay federal debt and student tax on the student loan debt forgiveness, it's possible that some borrowers may have to pay state income tax on the amount of debt forgiven. The formal launch of the application marks the next phase of a massive technical undertaking for federal agencies and student loan services to provide broad relief to tens of millions of borrowers. Joe Biden also said in a speech that millions of people fill out the application. We're going to make sure the system continues to work as smoothly as possible so that we can deliver student loan relief to millions of Americans. The Department of Education is also facing lawsuits challenging the student loan forgiveness policy. A U.S. district judge can actually soon decide whether to temporarily block the program from taking effect after hearing a motion from a preliminary injunction last year. What this means is that President Biden can do more for the American people and send out stimulus checks sooner than we realize. Hopefully he does this, everybody. Eligible to claim an extra $125, and extra bonus relief checks. This comes as state officials pass new relief legislation. Indiana has another budget surplus, and Governor Eric Holcomb wanted to disperse to people in the state. Early this month, the governor announced he wanted to distribute $1 billion in tax relief to help people in the state dealing with inflation. Now this week, he has announced plans to call lawmakers back into a special session on July 6th. Under his plan, each taxpayer will receive about $225, and that's in addition to the $125 of automatic tax refund that the governor pledged to each Indiana taxpayer. Another 2 million people in the state have already received a $125 tax refund by direct deposit. Refunds for more than 2 million other Indiana taxpayers are still being processed, and state officials expect them to be mailed later this summer. Now, people in the state, such as the governor's office, said earlier this year that 4.3 million Indiana residents will get an automatic $125 refund. That means to date, just under half of the tax refunds have been processed so far. And now, everybody, Congress also passed a bill extending some food assistance measures for anti-hunger advocates. They have called for critical care as more parents struggle with the rising cost of inflation. Less than a week before the measures were set to end, crisis-era child nutrition waivers helped millions of people get access to the meals in both school and during the summer weeks. Now, the bipartisan legislation now heads to the president's desk for his signature. It would extend some of the dozens of child nutrition waivers that Congress gave the Agricultural Department. Would not extend the most groundbreaking rules of the federal waivers, one that made school breakfast and lunches free to all students regardless of their families. Now, after passing House Representatives bill, the bill went to the Senate before the Senate. Now, after passing the House Representatives through a majority vote, the bill went before the Senate, where Rand Paul pushed for the return of the reduced priced meat category. The bill passed unanimously in the Senate, with that change as the clock ticked toward getting the bill passed in time, forcing the bill back to the House of Representatives for a second vote with the revision in place. Having to pay for reduced price meals is significant for many families. Before March 2020, children and families whose incomes were at or below 130% of the federal poverty level were eligible for free school meals, while those in families whose incomes were 135% of the poverty level were eligible for reduced price meals.
To inquire.
Secretary Yellen, thank you so much for being here, and I'd like to follow up on a letter that Senator Elizabeth Warren and I sent to you and Commissioner Reddick in April. This letter requested information on steps that Treasury and IRS are taking to ensure that low-income taxpayers are not unfairly audited at far greater rates, and we are still awaiting a response. I'm encouraged that Treasury's budget request highlights the need for new resources and especially new skilled staff, including revenue agents, to focus on tax fairness and audits of large businesses, partnerships, and high-wealth individuals. How would these resources change the audit